All right. In the immortal words of Bruce Buffer, we are live from the Canadian Racing Tour studio. I am Sean Blight, and I'm happy to be joined by Adam Ross, who is the voice of Canadian motorsports, covering NASCAR Canada Series, Oswego Speedway, APC late models, and various other racing series around Canada. Adam, how are you doing? Having a little technical troubles here.
Hey,
there we go. We got it working now.
that's
the joy of live broadcasting. Not that you would know anything about that.
Nothing at all. You just keep on going. You keep on smiling and pretend nothing ever went wrong. Nothing went wrong, Sean. There's just dramatic pause.
We got it. So how you doing, Adam? Getting ready for the racing season?
Yeah, I am. I'm ready. This has been the longest off season ever, and as you said, there's a lot of races to call. I'm ready to get this thing started, and we've got a lot to look forward to this year.
Absolutely, we do. And before we get into all of that, you interview a lot of people, and I don't know a lot about you per se. And I've had some people reaching out to me, like people that want to get into broadcasting, that love racing. So I guess what came first, the chicken or the egg? I know you had a little bit of racing experience. Kind of just tell me about where you grew up and how you got to where you are today.
I've always loved racing. My parents met at Oswego Speedway down in New York. I've lived on both sides of the border, so spent a lot of time as a kid at Cayuga Speedway. We lived in New York, spent a lot of time at Oswego Speedway, Rolling Wheels Raceway, Weed Sport. Central New York is a huge hotbed for racing. It's all I ever wanted to do. I got the opportunity to go racing, race hobby cars up here, race go-karts for years, and then just ran out of money, Sean. That's how a lot of people wind up on the media side of this business.
All right. So, Oswego Speedway, I've been there many, many times, and I'm actually going to be doing a podcast with Camden Proud and a couple of other super modified drivers, and Roy Sova, who I'm really excited to talk to. So how did the opportunity come up then for you to kind of get your foot in the door on the media side?
When I finished high school, I had a decision to make. I wanted to be involved in racing. A mentor I had at the time, Roy Bryden, who was a mentor to a lot of people, Bobby Slack among them, Roger Slack, suggested public relations would be a good avenue. I'm not mechanically inclined. So I went to Humber College. I studied public relations. And from there, it was just a natural fit to write about racing. So I wrote news stories for Performance Racing News, later for Inside Track. The announcing happened by accident. I think the first announcing I did was at Oktoberfest at the Waterloo Kart Club. And then Flamborough Speedway, Jerry Paxton was taking a night off and they needed someone to fill in for him. So it's just a matter of doing it. There's a lot of people, a lot of my counterparts are professionally trained. Greg Callan, Clinton Jeffrey, Dave Bradley, they're consummate pros. Todd Lewis, I am not. I'm just putz with a microphone and a love for racing. And I've been really fortunate. Just timing and dumb luck. And I just bring a lot of, for someone my size, I bring a lot of energy to the game. I just
Well, don't sell yourself too short, because you do a great job and you bring a lot of, you and Clinton have obviously a good relationship and a lot of good banter back and forth that keeps the fans entertained during races. So let's get right into it, because we're going to have Kyle Steckly coming on in a few minutes. Mm-hmm. So I guess let's start with kind of the big series, the NASCAR Canada series that Trayton Lapcevich dominated last year for the most part, and he's racing in the States now. So what are you looking for from that series? Like, who do you have your eye on? Who's going to step up? What are you thinking?
It's wide open. That's what makes it so exciting. I am very confident that LP Dumoulin is angry. He's going to come on with a vengeance in 2024. Kevin Lacroix's got a whole new thing going. Marc-Antoine Cameron's going to be hot. It's going to be a lot of fun. And you've still got guys like DJ Kennington who aren't done yet. They're not done winning races. They're not done being at the top of their game. I'm really excited for what is to come in the next 2 to 3 years in that series under the guidance of Alan Labrosse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly. It's you notice it across. We can shift to just a general conversation, but kind of the one thing I think that was good that came out of COVID, the streaming really incentivized people to get more into racing, I think. And there are so many young, talented drivers in this country. You look around the pits, you walk through the pits, whatever series it is, it's just, it's encouraging. If you had any doubts that maybe racing was in trouble, any doubts are alleviated when you walk through the pits.
We're so fortunate right now. If you go to a race right now compared to going to a race 20 years ago, you're going to a big event. A lot of racetracks have closed. You look around Moseport, Kawartha, Jukasa, the places that have shuttered in that time haven't weakened the sport. They've given people fewer options on where they can go and race. So whether you go to Brighton Speedway on a Saturday or Delaware on a Friday or Sunset Speedway on a Saturday, you are being treated to some fantastic racing with some phenomenal young talent. And even though we all have our own golden age, 2024 is going to be someone's golden years, right? This is going to be the time they look back on and say, yeah, that's when racing was its best.
Perfect. Looks like we've got Kyle Steckly on. So without further ado, the defending APC Series champion and now running the ASA Stars National Tour, coming off of a top 10 finish. And I would say, I don't know if you got to see that race, Adam. It was interesting, I guess, to say the least. And we'll get Kyle's take here. Kyle, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Looking forward to chatting with tonight.
Oh, absolutely. I wanted to get into Hickory from last weekend. It was an interesting race. Nothing really of your doing, but walk us through kind of the chaos, I guess, and how you guys were able to rebound and fight and end up with a top 10.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit of a wild race there. We qualified 7th, which was pretty solid. I was happy with that. And then we were going to, just slowly work our way to the front. I think we had a really good long run APC 22 car there, but unfortunately on the first break there in lap 40, we had a restart as passing for 4th and got chopped a little bit. A flat right front tire led to a sway bar heim rubbing off and just a bit of a mess. My crew did a great job. I can't thank them enough. We probably came in 5 times and we stayed on the lead lap the whole race, which was really good, and got the car a lot better and worked back up from, I think we were 27th at one point, and worked back up to 10th for a solid finish in a short 100 lap race.
Yeah, I was just going to comment because I saw your posts on social media, how obviously the night didn't go the way you wanted it to, but man, you've got to take some encouragement out of an event like that, where you, like, 20 laps into the race, you're behind the 8 ball basically, and you guys fought and didn't give up, and a top 10, man. I mean, you got to be proud with that.
Yeah, it's huge. Just, it shows how good of supporters I have behind me at 22 Racing, at Rhett Jones Racing, and even the Lapsoviches and Chad Bryant Racing hopped in right away and were a big help in keeping me out there. So to rebound with a top 10, I'm just super proud of my team and how much they support me and do a great job at the track. So without them, that definitely wouldn't have been possible. And we're gonna keep trucking here and move on from that one, and hopefully have a better result next time.
Now, Kyle, did you get a chance to have a conversation? I mean, it sucked because you were the victim of someone else's temper tantrum. And that's all that it was, and it put you in a bad spot. I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good, Adam.
I'm gonna watch my language. It's not our show.
No. This isn't one of those shows.
Okay. Do you get a chance to have that conversation, or do you just chalk that in the back of your mind, knowing, do you give the respect that you get?
No, it definitely, on a first time incident like that, I think you should go over and talk to him. I don't think, you need to fight or anything like that, but just see what he was thinking and what happened. Obviously, at that time, I went over and talked to him, and I hadn't seen a replay yet. He hadn't seen a replay yet. And I was pretty upset because I thought we had a good chance at it to run up in the top 3 there. And he told me he got put in the wall, and the guy ahead of me is kind of a rough driver. So I kind of believed him. And, we went on from there. He was good to me. And then I watched the replay, and he didn't get in the wall at all. So, so then once I seen that, I was kind of more upset again. And then a couple days later, he actually shot me a message, which was nice. And, he just said that he made a mistake. And, I guess that happens sometimes. And at least he owned up to it and had the respect and was brave enough to reach out and apologize for the mistake he made.
Well, that's definitely encouraging, because I mean, you're the kind of the new guy in the series, and you don't really want these guys kind of taking a run at you and thinking that they're going to get away with it, and that's just going to be fine, right? Your schedule is nuts this year, man. Like, you're going to be putting on the air miles coming up here shortly. What are you kind of goals in this season? I guess let's start with the ASA Stars Tour. Do you have any kind of personal goals for the tour?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the ASA Stars National Tour, you look at the guys who maybe don't race full time there, but like the guys in each and every single race and the races we go to, it's pretty incredible. So I'm just super thankful to be there in the first place, but I'm trying to learn as much as I can personally as a race car driver, and how I can be better on and off the track as a race car driver. So I'm taking it in as much as I can each race, and I've already learned a lot. So I think near the end of the year we can keep improving as a team and myself as a driver. And I'm hoping to get a win this year, honestly. I think that's possible, and I think we have a good chance at it. But we're going to keep working away. We're going to keep working on the car. We're going to keep practicing in a super late model and see where we get to.
Where do you think is your best shot, Kyle? I mean, a lot of these tracks you've never been to. Maybe on iRacing you've seen some of them, but where do you think is your best chance of making something happen?
It's a tough question because everybody is so good everywhere down here. They've, like, a lot of guys have thousands and thousands and thousands of laps at all these different tracks. But one place that I had a lot of fun at, and I think I did well in the Pro Late Model, was Nashville at the end of the year. It's the last race in the ASA Stars National Tour, and being gone there already once with our Pro Late Model, I think that's one that it's a longer race. We can play some strategy, and by the end of the year, I think we're going to be hitting on all cylinders with the Rhett Jones Racing team. So that's one I got circled on my calendar for sure.
Are there any tracks specifically, I guess? I mean, you mentioned Nashville. like you're going to some pretty historic tracks here. Like watching you race around Hickory was pretty cool. I mean, this is where, you know, the Jarretts got their start. Are you kind of doing some like pinch me moments? Are there any tracks you're really looking forward to?
Yeah, like you look at that ASA schedule and every single track on there has special or some sort of history or just a really cool place. So I'm looking forward to going to the Milwaukee Mile. That's going to be wicked in a super late model. Winchester, we went and watched the 400 there last year, and man, that place is pretty crazy. So that one's definitely excited for that. And then you got Toledo and Owasso, which both tracks are amazing facilities close to home. I'm looking forward to them because, you know, a lot of family, friends are going to make it out to those races. So that's going to be cool as well.
Kyle, I don't want to lead you down the wrong path here, but some of these racetracks are awful. And when I say awful, I mean that they are rougher than washboards. They're hard to. They've got a lot of what people would say character when they're trying to be polite. Has that surprised you at all when you go to some of these legendary places and realize, my goodness, I'd rather be at home. Not that you'd rather be at home, but it's not all as cracked up to be sometimes because these places are really tough to get around.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's kind of part of it, you know. That's what creates so much history about them, how tough they are, how challenging they are. And yeah, it may not be the most fun in the seat bouncing around and you got to wear mouth guard at some places, but it's still a lot of fun and just cool to be able to say, you know, I raced a car at Hickory Motor Speedway, or hopefully soon I raced a car at Winchester, Indiana, and Nashville and all them places, even though, you know, each racetrack is different in their own ways, and some are, you know, more rundown than others, or the track's in rougher shape than others, but that makes each one special in their own way.
Yeah, I was going to say Hickory. I think it was built in 1951. It doesn't look like they've touched it. So, so you're going to be doing a lot of back and forth. If we're kind of incorporate the APC tour, so you're running the full schedule again for that.
Yep. Yeah, I'll be back full time for the APC series. It all works out pretty well with the ASA schedule, except for one weekend. It's the Wisconsin doubleheader where I race Madison and Milwaukee Friday and Sunday, and I got to be in Peterborough to race in the APC series Saturday night. So we're still working out how we're going to do that one exactly. I'm hoping there's not too much practice on the Saturday in Milwaukee, but we're going to get her figured out, and I'm sure I'll be at Peterborough Saturday night.
I'm sure Adam will lend you his charter plane to get you to and from the track. Don't worry about that.
Well, speaking of which, you're sponsored by APC. If I'm not mistaken, they do have a jet. Have they talked about that at all, Kyle?
Yeah, there's been talks of that, and I think we're just working out the details and where all the airports are, and if what plane is available or if there's flights available and what we can make work, because if there's practice at Milwaukee on Saturday, that's going to make it a lot harder for me to get back to Peterborough, and I'll likely have to be starting at the back, but it is what it is, and we're going to get it all worked out with APC and see what we can do to get back to Peterborough.
And so do you have crew guys that are running both? Like, I assume your dad's working on both cars, is he? Or is the Rhett Jones car, is that their own, like they've got their own people for that?
Yeah, the Rhett Jones racing team has their own group of guys that go to every single race. My dad will obviously be with me at both and going back and forth with me, but the rest of the guys are all separate. We got a great crew down there in the States, people from all over. So that's really cool. And then I'll have my own crew up here in Peterborough with my car.
Awesome.
So who all would make that trip, Kyle? I'm assuming your dad would with you, but is there anyone who was spotting for you down at Hickory?
Jeff Gutler was spotting for me. So he does all Rhett Jones racing stuff, and he spotted for me a couple times at the end of last season, and we just growing closer together. I really like, you know, the way he spots and keeps me out of trouble. So that's nice. And just trying to keep working with him as much as I can. He's not going to be doing my APC series stuff, but he is going to be doing all my Rhett Jones racing stuff, and then a couple other specials here and there with me.
So have you looked at all, like, it might be too early to say, have you looked at all ahead to next year? Like, where do you want to be? What's the next step? do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't looked at it too far ahead. I want to keep moving up the ranks and keep improving as a driver and as a person. So we're just taking it one race at a time, and I'm learning a lot for sure. So it's really cool to be racing down in the States on a regular basis, and meeting lots of people down there, making connections, which is really, really important. So we're just going to see where this year goes, and hopefully start making some ARCA starts. That'd be cool with the Red Jones Racing teams, and see where it takes me from there.
Kyle, what does it take? Racing is such a peculiar sport because for you to get to the top of your game, you're racing on 3rd mile tracks, half-mile tracks. Now you're going to Milwaukee, that's a full mile track. But that's nothing like going to a 1.5 miles or going to Pocono with ARCA, which is a 2.5 mile track. What I mean is when you get to the big leagues of motorsports, it's almost a different sport than what you grow up doing. How do you get that experience? How do you prove yourself to Red Jones Racing that what you do on a 1/2 mile track can equate to what you might be able to do on a 1.5 miles or a 2 mile oval?
Yeah, it's definitely tough. And, there's a lot of people who talk down to the ARCA series and, or say it's not good racing and all this stuff. But I think ARCA is something that, these short track drivers need to go and run and run on these Michigans and Poconos and places like that to get their experience, Daytona. And, it's tough. It definitely is a different style of racing, but at the end of the day, it's still racing. It's still who can go through the corner fast enough and who can make the most speed in the lap. So I think if you're a good short track racer, it's going to take a bit of time to learn those different driving styles and what it takes to go fast around 1.5 miles. But I think, if you've got what it takes to race in super late models at a short track level, I think going to ARCA and picking up 1.5 miles won't be crazy. It'll be a learning curve, but I think it's something doable for a successful late model driver.
Awesome. Yeah, I was just in a couple more minutes here with you, and then we'll let you go, Kyle. Is there, this might be a tough one to answer, is there a track that you just can't wait to get to? Maybe it's not on your schedule. Something in the States, maybe it's on the Cars Tour, something like you really want to get to.
Track I love and really, really want to race at one day is Bristol Motor Speedway. So that's definitely on my bucket list. I've been saying that for a long time, I think, in interviews. Bristol Motor Speedway, I hope to be there one day and racing around the high banks.
All right, Adam, I'll leave the last one to you if you've got anything else.
No, not at all. There's worse things to strive for. I mean, Bristol is the Mecca, Kyle. Do you consider yourself a role model yet? I mean, it seems like yesterday you were racing mini stocks around Ontario. Now you're a driver who's got all sorts of accolades. You've proven yourself in different levels. How do you take on that role that there's actually young people that are about to get into stock car racing and they actually look up to Kyle Steckly as the person they want to be just like?
Yeah, it's definitely kind of crazy. I just turned 19 actually a couple days ago, but it's crazy to think that 3-4 years ago I was racing mini stocks at Flamborough, like you said, and now here we are racing in the top super late model series in North America. So it's definitely really cool and crazy how far we've came, the achievements that I've accomplished. It's crazy to think that I thought I could do it that many years ago, and here we are, and I've done it, and we're racing in the States now, and we're just keep on striving forwards. And I just try and be the best person I can be on and off the track, so that anyone who's watching knows I'm a good person and has a good role model who's a respectful racer and a good person off the track, nice and humble. Working on my car, I try and push that. I work on my car a lot because I think that's really important for young racers to get in the shop and work on their cars and learn what they're all about as well.
Awesome. Again, I really appreciate you taking some time out of your crazy busy schedule. I think Berlin is next for you, if I'm remembering off the top of my head, in a couple of weeks.
Yep, Berlin's next in a couple of weeks, and we're going to be at Delaware Speedway this weekend with the APC series for a test day. So it's staying busy in the shop, getting ready for the next 2 weekends, and we're gonna have a lot of fun with the APC 22 team.
All right. So if anyone wants to follow along with you and your progress, where can they find you on social media or website or anything?
Kyle Steckly Racing on Facebook, and website's Kyle Steckly Racing, and Twitter and Instagram is Kyle Steckly.
All right. Awesome, man. Thanks again so much. Can't wait to catch up with you at a track in the near future, and best of luck.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right. Well, there's a guy with a bright future. I've met him a couple of times, and he's just such a nice, I say young man, kid. I was going to say kid, but nice young man. So
Yeah.
And next, we're going to shift gears to dirt. We've got Dylan Westbrook coming on, the defending Southern Ontario Sprints champion, a guy who's done a lot of racing in the States himself. So Dylan Westbrook, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So you got a big race on Saturday coming up. Test session tomorrow. You're heading to that too?
No, not going to go to the test session, but just actually at the shop right now, getting everything ready for Saturday.
I guess if you won as many races as you don't need any practice, right? Let's get at it.
Yeah, I mean, practice is always good, but yes, making sure everything's all ready, putting some spares together and everything. Hopefully we don't need them, but just get everything ready just in case.
So what's your schedule looking like this year? You're running the full tour on the Southern Ontario Sprints and Oshweekon on Fridays, I'm guessing, or where you can be at?
Yeah, gonna do Oshweekon every Friday. Do the SOS, and then hopefully if everything goes good, do the Brighton series also.
Okay, perfect.
Dylan, can you race with that beard? Like, is it possible to strap a helmet around that gnarly beard and be comfortable?
It might need a little trim up or a shave before we put the head sock on.
I don't know if anyone's done this, but I will sponsor you if you will shave right where the chin strap goes of your helmet, like all the way around, just so the strap goes right.
Just one big patch, just right around there.
That's it.
I'm thinking you might need a custom helmet with 2 tear-offs. You got to let that sucker breathe. Can't get any dirt on that.
Yeah, probably get a little bit warm.
Dylan, I was going to ask you when you were coming on. So you've done a lot of racing in the States. You've done a lot of the biggest kind of sprint car races. And I was actually at the King's Royal a couple of years ago when you were there. And I think you won a C main one night. And you're out in front. And I talked to Robbie Price the following year who did the same thing. What's it like going into that track, going down the front stretch or the back stretch, wide open, knowing you've got to like bang it against the wall there?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy there, especially in a 410. Like you're moving and the ball comes up in a hurry, and you only got like a couple inches when it's right up against the fence. And if it just catches the wrong way, it pulls your front end over, and it's all downhill from there. So you got to be like perfect every lap, everything. It's pretty crazy to actually see the guys that actually do it and are out front winning and passing and everything there, and yeah, hit it perfect every lap.
What did it do for your name recognition, Dylan, when you won a 360 race at Eldora?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That one, we everything just went perfect that night. Just qualifying, we were fast all night and everything, and in the feature, we just hit the setup perfect. It like the car, it was actually like really easy to drive. Like it could just go pretty much anywhere, top, bottom, move around, and it was awesome. And we won it by quite a bit. It was really cool there, especially that was only my second time there, I think. So to go there, and most of the time it takes those guys a long time to actually get fast there. So it definitely got a lot of texts and messages after that one. It was a cool one for sure.
Did you get to celebrate with any of their world famous toilet waters?
Nope, didn't have any of those. Maybe just a couple beers.
If anyone's never been to Eldora, they have this drink, and it's called a toilet water, and it looks exactly like you would expect it to look, and they put a little Tootsie Roll in at the end. And of course, everything at Eldora is like $2 or $4, so people enjoy those. I'll just say that.
Yeah, if we go back there, I'm gonna have to try to get one of those and try them out.
Do you ever miss that part of racing, Dylan? And I'm in the same boat. I've been going to races for way longer than I'd like to admit. But I don't have many hangovers from it because I'm always on to the next place. Like, there's not time to spend all night drinking and all day the next day leading into it, partying it up. Do you ever look at that side of the fence and think, I wonder what that feels like?
Yeah, it's it's always fun. Like the odd time when we were not actually racing, just go be a fan and actually hang out and have a good time and everything. But yeah, it's still a lot. I think it's a lot more fun actually being in the car racing. But we definitely, my team definitely make up for it. Have a lot of fun after the races and everything too. So we're a pretty rowdy bunch after the races most of the time.
What's the transition kind of been like? You toured around the States for many years, and now you're home. You've got your own business there, your family, obviously. Has it been a welcome change?
Yeah, I like it a lot. Like being on the road, like I said before, it was a lot of fun. Wouldn't change that for anything. But just being a long time away from home and everything too, especially when we were out doing it when COVID was going on. So we were down there for it was like 6 months or something straight. Where yeah, just a long time away. But definitely being back home is a lot of fun. Still good to see everyone. Like now, a bunch of my friends to come hang out, work on the car and everything, family and everything, can see them all the time. So it's a lot of fun.
Dylan, what's the dynamic like in the pits? Because you are now one of the experienced drivers. You've been around, you've been everywhere. Do you share tips? Do people come up to you and ask you for advice? Are you open with that sort of thing, or do you let them learn all that on their own?
No, if someone's like starting out and like needs a hand or something, yeah, I'm like I'll help them for sure. Like now one of the crate guys, he's just getting into it now, so kind of went over and helped him out a little bit just to go through stuff that he doesn't really know what to do, and so just help him out like that. But I mean, when it's like 360 guys and they're actually like good competitors and everything, it's you tell them like about 90% of the stuff if they ask, but kind of leave out the 10% that the stuff that you really think makes a big difference.
So Adam and I are a lot older than you, so I don't want to make you sound old. But with the experience that you have had, do you see any young guys kind of in your series? Or I know you've done some of like the ESS stuff. Are there any young guys that really catch your eye and think, man, that guy is really, he could be something?
I mean, like it's not like there's like way back in the day when there was like a bunch, like just a couple of real fast guys, and the rest of them were just kind of there. Like now, the competition everywhere, it's really good. Like everyone, like almost every night, and you don't really know who's going to win. There's always like everyone's really close and competitive. I don't think there's anyone that just really stands out, but like compared to years ago, like in Canada and everything, like everyone's like they could go anywhere and be competitive. Where before, like at nationals and stuff, all the guys from the States would come down and like, all right, they're going to be up front. You're kind of running for 10th-ish or something, maybe. Now anyone can win, like from the home track guys too.
What do you attribute that to, Dylan? What is the difference?
I think like just everyone kind of started touring around a bit too. Like before, not too many people go down to the States and everything. We're now like all nitro guys. They go down, like a bunch of people. They'll just go out and compete with those guys. And after you do that and race with them, it just makes you that much better. And then when you come back, now all the home track guys got to race against you, makes them better. Just everyone just keeps on getting better and better.
I did have one question. I posted on Instagram if anyone had any questions to let me know. And a guy named Jacob, who lives in Florida, had a question because he's seen you race down in the States quite a bit. And he was wondering if there's anything left kind of on your bucket list, races you still haven't ran that you'd like to?
Yeah, like, I mean, we've done a lot of cool big ones, but
Or anything you'd really like to do again if you could.
Yeah, like Wheatland, Missouri, that one for the Jesse Hawkins Memorial. That one's always a fun race. It's really like that track. Great facility too, and it's always racy. I enjoy that one a lot. It always draws a ton of cars too. So yeah, I think that's probably one of my favorite races in the States like that.
Did you ever race on the mile at Syracuse, Dylan?
Nope, never. I think no, never raced there, and I was gonna say never even got to go there before it got taken down.
Oh, no kid. Would you have raced on that?
Yeah, I would try it. Like I mean, the big tracks are a bit harder. I don't like them quite as much just because it's a lot harder to pass on and everything. I think like your car has to be perfect, and it just takes so long to catch a guy. It seems like where a short track, it's a lot faster pace, and you can kind of mess up a little bit here and there, and just seems like you can kind of drive a bit harder, make more speed. Where the big tracks, I feel like that'd be a long straightaway, just wide open that long, and then trying to make the corner fast and smooth after.
I couldn't imagine a sprint car on those tracks. I've looked back. Actually, I was with a couple of buddies, and we were looking at the track records there for Syracuse and Rolling Wheels, and it's just the speeds guys were doing. Like I could not imagine that. So, are you doing any racing in the States this year, Dylan?
I nothing 100% yet. I think we're gonna try to do a couple when it works out. Just go down there, and same thing. It's more experience just being down there. And then if you have an off weekend, just fun to keep on racing, not just sitting at home, but might as well just keep on racing when you got the chance.
One other thing I was going to ask you about too, because I've noticed with some of the schedules with Oshweekend and Southern Ontario Motor Speedway, there seems to be a lot more collaboration with the Southern Ontario sprints, Empire Super Sprints, and the Great Lakes Sprints, which I love because, there's some really talented 360 guys in this area that we don't even really get to see. Are you looking forward to those kind of events? I know the Great Lakes and the SOS event at Southern Ontario Motor Speedway, that one's on my list for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited for that, to get a bunch of those guys haven't really been down here. So to get them out here and then to do Oshweekend, then do the SOS one at South Buxton after, I think that's going to be really good. Get to see a bunch of guys, and once they come down here and do it, I bet you'll keep on coming back. So yeah, really excited for that. Get some new drivers and faces around here and different competition. I think it'll be a really good race, both of them at Oshweekend and South Buxton.
Dylan, you just answered my previous question. That's why the racing is so good anymore, because you're bringing on all challengers. I believe you when you say you want the good racers to show up, because that's who you have to beat. And that's what raises the bar for everybody. And I dare say you're not alone there. I think most of our racers would welcome whoever shows up. The faster, the better, because they want to be the best. You have to beat the best. Where does that mentality come from? Because it hasn't always been the case.
Yeah, I don't know. I think everyone just racing against the good guys. It just makes you have to be that much better. So when they come down here, you didn't know if they're faster than you. You got to try something different, get faster, see what they're doing, kind of try to get behind them, say in hot laps or something, just to see what line they run, trying to learn from that. So I think everyone wants to be the best and fastest as they can. So I think that's what it is.
I wanted to ask you, if you win the Canadian Nationals this year, what is the first thing that you're going to buy?
Yeah, I don't know. That's I think I'd rather just win the Nationals, just to say I finally won one, other than the money. Like that's on my bucket list for sure, to finally win a Nationals at home track and everything. Been doing it for so long, but just haven't been able to finally just finish off a good Nationals.
When you get out and celebrate a win, Dylan, do you get out with your helmet on, or does your helmet come off first?
Most of the time, helmet comes off first. I think there's been a couple times left the helmet on, but most of the time, take the helmet off and then get out.
I got to ask your opinion. Why do drivers do that? Like you got to sell your face. People got to see your face, and there's so many racers that get out and stand there with their arms up and their helmet on. Like it might as well be a Lego figure out there. You've got to do it right.
Yeah, I think
could be because his beard's all covered in dirt.
Yeah, leave the helmet on so I go up there, cover me up, make me look better. So I think
no,
get so excited. You just kind of want to get out, celebrate, and yeah, just get up on top of the wing, wave the flag, and yeah, I never really thought about that, but yeah, I think that's what it is. Just real excited, want to get out as fast as you can, start celebrating. So just then after that, take the helmet off, and yeah, it makes sense though. Like you want to kind of advertise yourself and see, make sure everyone knows who you are. So it makes a lot more sense to actually take your helmet off. Or
That's selfish for me, Dylan. It's selfish. I'm up in the tower. I want to see your face. Because I can see it, like the fans can see it as well. People need to see that reaction. And you know what? If you finish second, you're pissed off about finishing second. I want to see that too. Like that's how you draw in the fans, is by sharing your personality with them, sharing your passion with them, for better or for worse.
yeah, for sure. Like yeah, have to make that a new rule. Got to take your helmet off before you get out of the car on Victory Lane.
So going into this year, obviously defending champion, one of the favorites to repeat again. Going to ask your goals for this year. Obviously, pretty simple to win a championship again. Anything else that you mentioned winning the nationals? Anything else that kind of you're aiming for this year?
Yeah, hopefully repeat win of the SOS championship. Try to get a little bit better out of Schwegen in the slick if it's like that again. No, near the end of the season, we were starting to pick it up a lot better than where we kind of started when it first got slick. So just be better at that. And yeah, everything worked out perfect. Win both championships, get a bunch of wins, and hopefully win the nationals or have a real good run there.
Dylan, at the drivers' meeting there a month or two ago, there was talk about how they line up the feature for a sprint car race. What is the fairest way to do it? What is the best format for determining the starting grid?
I mean, best way, in my opinion, just like qualifying, do straight like qualifying, and then if you wanted, like qualify the whole field. If you wanted to do a bit of an invert for the heats, and then I don't know if you. I think just qualifying, just the whole field, it really helps. But you know, a bunch of places they just like don't want to put like waste time doing that. But I think that's kind of the most fair way. I mean, you still got to draw for when you go out, so it kind of does that. But at least if you draw a crappy number, you can go out late and still try to save it. See if even if the track slows down, at least you have a chance to, like, kind of outperform other people to get your spot where you should be. Where if you just draw and gets caught at the back of the heat race, you're kind of screwed from the start.
Do you get as mad as David Gravel? Like I'm a big sprint car guy, and I love David Gravel. And when I know how mad he gets. Like he'll qualify first, he'll blow everyone away in the heat race, and then draw an 8, and the pure dejection. Like, do you kind of mutter under your breath? Like how mad does that make you?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lot happier when you draw the 1, but I mean, it's all kind of. I mean, being mad won't really fix it, so just kind of pick the number, whatever it is. Just know, all right, you just got to pass a few more cars, hopefully, and get to the front as fast as possible.
All right, Adam, I'll leave the last one to you.
What's the secret of winning at Merrittville Speedway, Dylan? Do you get up on the high side and hammer down, or do you have to be able to pedal?
It's kind of the track is different a lot of times. I mean, normally earlier in the season like this one, normally it does have a bit more grip to it, so you can kind of get up on the top and just fly around the top the whole way. Or normally it's fairly wet still, so there is still a bottom too. So normally the first one is pretty good and racy. Normally 2 grooves and everything. Not like later in the year, kind of anywhere. Just the sun's out more, it's a lot hotter, so it does slick off a lot faster. So yeah, I think this Saturday it is going to be pretty. I think it'll be pretty hammer down track and be a good race with a top and a bottom.
Yeah, I can't wait for it. I'll be there for sure. So I'll come say hi. And if you win, and you said there's going to be beers in your trailers, I know where I'm heading before I head home.
For sure.
So thanks a lot for coming on, Dylan. Really appreciate your time, and best of luck this year.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So that Southern Ontario Sprint Series, I mean, sometimes they don't always get the car counts, but for me, it's car quality, not car quantity. And that series is so competitive, and it just keeps getting better every year. Like Darren Dryden comes up and from the crates and doesn't miss a beat. Like I love going to those races. They're fantastic.
You know, to win a race at Ohsweken Speedway, you've got everything has to be on the money. Cars got to be great. The drivers got to be on point. You go to a place like Brighton or Merrittville, just like Dylan was saying, you can make some mistakes and still be in it. Stay up on the wheel. Things can happen. Things can shift in a big hurry. That's what I like about the Southern Ontario Sprints is the tracks that they go to kind of leave it wide open to someone who maybe doesn't have that monster horsepower or the perfect setup. They can get out there and have a great night.
Yeah, for sure. We've got Glenn Watson is coming on. He'll be our final guest. And just a little bit about me, Adam, and for people watching, I've got a strong connection to the Watson family. So Glenn's father-in-law is my great uncle. Al Blight, who owned Barrie Speedway for many years, is my great uncle. So I have been watching Glenn race and been around the Watson family for a long time. So that's my connection with him. And I mean, this guy, like he loves racing. He's so good at it. And when it comes to super late models, I mean, he is one of the best to ever do it. So I'm thrilled that he's going to be coming on.
No, I'm glad you said that, Sean, because truthfully, I don't know an awful lot about you. I'm honored that you invited me on here. It's been a lot of fun to chat. I know you love your racing and you've been a lot of places. But yeah, tell me a little bit about you if you don't mind.
Yeah, so as I said, my great uncle, he owned Barrie Speedway, and so ever since I was a little kid, I'd be there every Saturday night. So this is the days. I don't want to age myself, but I will be 40 in a few weeks. So I actually got to give the command at a cast car race years and years ago when the cast car Super Series used to roll through Barrie.
Nice.
And some of the stuff, I mean, these are great stories now. Some of the stuff that my uncle used to let me do. You remember Kids Night? They used to have Kids Night at the speedways where kids would line up and they'd get into the passenger seat of.
Yeah.
I mean, insurance companies would be shaking if you hear these stories now. But I remember vividly, I got into most of the cars that would come out would be street stocks. Cars that had kind of lower horsepower. And my uncle set me up with Ron Tracy's super late model. And I'm a 9 or 10-year-old kid, and we get into I sit down in the floorboards of Ron Tracy's super late model, which are scalding hot. And he just looks at me and he says, hang on to something, kid, because I'm not taking you on a normal pace lap. And it was awesome, the stuff you used to be able to get away with back in the day.
Yeah. I won my first heat race at Barrie Speedway in the hobby cars in 1999. I love that place. Yeah,
that was so my uncle owned it before Coates, I guess.
Yeah,
bought it from them. And but yeah, so back in the day, they had the cast car Super Series would come through there. Junior Hanley would race, and he was my racing hero as a kid. I loved Junior. Got my picture in Victory Lane with him, and actually Alex Nagy as well. I saw him at Motorama, and I had this picture of me as a 10-year-old kid with him in Victory Lane at Barrie Speedway, and he's like, "Oh, I remember that." So that was pretty cool.
He wouldn't have liked that at all, because at 10 years old, you would have been taller than he was. They probably made you get on your knees for that picture.
Well, I'm maybe one of the few guys who can look Alex Nagy in the eye, because I'm not a super tall guy myself.
At any opportunity I get to pick on Alex, I'm going to take.
He's an awesome guy.
He is so. I've got to jump off here at 8:00. So my son Connor's got an interview he's got to do shortly. So just in case I disappear, I don't want to be rude. And if I don't get the chance.
Not at all.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. So Glenn and I might go in a couple extra minutes, but just jump off whenever you have to. So here's the guy who's won more championships than he maybe even knows. Glenn Watson. How's it going, Glenn?
Doing pretty well. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure. You know, I had to pull. I was just telling Adam about our connection and just the strings that I had to pull to get you on here.
Yeah.
See the car in the background. How's things coming along?
Good. We're in good shape. Brakes are all buttoned up on it now. Josh just painted the body on the weekend, so it's ready to be riveted back on. And yeah, we're just waiting for a motor, and we're in pretty good shape.
Glenn, when you've done this as long as you have, like at least 10 seasons worth,
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
right? What gets you turned on? Like it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time out in the shop. It's painstaking work. What keeps you motivated?
I just love doing it. You know, once you get into the late throes of the season, it kind of gets to be almost like a job. But for the most part, I like coming out in the shop. I like fabricating stuff. I like working on it and building things. So, yeah, it's just love of the sport, love of working on the car, and man, there's nothing like strapping into it and hitting the loud pedal.
So I wanted to ask you, Glenn, there's some pretty big news in the offseason in your series that JR is coming back.
Yep.
So what's that going to do for just the competition level in that series? It's already really, really good, but got to think that JR is going to be gunning for you.
Yeah, for sure. JR doesn't do anything half-assed, so he's going to be coming with everything prepared as best as he can, and he bought a good piece, so he's really going to pick the bar up. We got Sean Chenoweth. He's coming back as well. He did spend a little bit of time with us a few years ago, and he's coming back. I expect he's going to have his car pretty good. He's running the modified. That car was originally Jeff Hanley's super late. They converted it to a modified, and then now it's going back to a super late, and Sean's going to be driving that. So, that adds another good driver to the field. And we had already a pretty strong field of cars. So, I think it's going to be a good season for us.
Glenn, when you look back over the generations of super late model racing, and what were they called? If we go back to the 1980s, what were they called then? What were you racing then? Because pro late models was only a term that came about in the last, say, 15 years. I can remember super late models. I can remember late model sportsmen. What's been the evolution of a super late model, and what was the best era for it?
Well, I think this era is the best era for them. But no, I would say probably, back in the 80s, they were just called late models because there was no real, as you say, pro late model or anything like that. There was the late models, the challengers or sportsman cars. So, I think they've evolved from that. I guess, yeah, I would say it's probably evolved from that. We're a little more advanced on our technology, but that goes with the times and what's available to us these days.
And that was a difficult question. That was an unfair question to ask you because it's not really apples to apples. But
right.
I think for people who haven't lived in the sport like we have, it's not the easiest thing to realize. Well, wait, what did Junior Hanley race? Did he run late models or super late? Well, he ran late models. That's where he made himself a legend because we didn't call them super just yet. But
right.
I agree with you. It is a great time for racing, and some of the names that are running the super late models. I think we in this sport have not done ourselves an awful lot of favors in how we name our divisions and how we recognize them over the years. There's a lot of confusion in there.
Yeah, and the number of classes that there are now. It's just it's crazy how many classes there are. Every couple of years somebody says, "Hey, let's start a new class, and we'll call it this." And we'll do this, and it just kind of dilutes all of the other classes along the way. So I know everybody wants to do their own thing and try and be different, but it's I guess just the nature of the beast.
the one thing I love about the Outlaw super late models, if you go and Google pictures of those cars from like the 80s and 90s with like the 4-foot high spoilers on the back, like it was just a total free for all of like what those guys could do to the cars. And some of them, I saw a picture of Kim Wallace's car just the other day, and like these huge high plexiglass spoilers on the side of the cars. Like, do you miss those at all? Can we put those on?
Well, no, we're not really allowed to do that. You know, actually, a couple of years ago, they had the Gold Rush for us, and it was it was implied that it was open and there were no rules, but so we stuck a bigger spoiler on and did a couple other things, and I think it maybe scared a few people or got a few people talking. Some liked it, some didn't, but we didn't go too crazy. It would be, I don't know, it'd be kind of neat to do that kind of stuff, but again, it's a lot of work to set up, those boards and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It would be fun, but I'm not up for that much extra work.
No doubt.
It had to be hard to get in and out of those cars.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah, I don't even know how they do. I think some of them, the couple that I've seen down in Michigan, Andy Bozell run one down there, the Call of the Wild race they had. It was just outrageous how fast he went. Anyways, I think they have the roofs off of them so that you can climb in through the roof.
Crazy. You were talking a bit last year about possibly running some races in Michigan or Ohio or something like that. Any plans to do that this summer?
Yeah, we're planning on going down to run the first race of the year at Owasso, their Reveal the Hammer series. If assuming we get our motor back in time, yeah, that's the plan. We've built the body more strict on what they can do to their body, so we've kind of built to that, and our plan is to go down. We'll do the first one, and I don't know. We'll see how it goes for the other ones. If we suck or if I suck terribly, we probably won't be back. But if we're somewhat competitive, we might take another shot at it.
All right, Adam. I know you've got to head out. So maybe if you want to fire off one more quick question, and I can let you skedaddle.
No, you know what? I'm good. I appreciate that, Glenn. A pleasure talking to you. I look forward to seeing you at the track.
Nice
and Sean, thank you so much. Yeah, likewise.
Yes,
Sean, thank you. Have a great night. Yes, sir.
You
anytime.
See ya.
All right. So I'll only hold you for a couple of more minutes. So you said the motor, you're waiting on the motor. Anything else that you've still got to do with the car?
No, I think as I say, we've got our brakes all gone through, rear ends all back together now and in the car. So and body's freshly painted, so it's just a matter of riveting that on and just getting it all back together. We could if we had everything here, we could probably be ready in a weekend. So assuming we can get the motor back in time, our plan is to make a trip down there.
Excellent. So for those who maybe don't know, what's the opening race for the Outlaw Super Late models?
We our first race is June 1st at Sunset Speedway.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So everyone follow along. Watson Racing is on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, so you can tune in, see what Glenn's up to this year and the Outlaw Super Late models. Really appreciate your time, Glenn. I'll see you at the track at some point, I am sure.
That's great. Thanks for having me on, Sean.
Yeah,
that was a pleasure.
Anytime. Right. Thanks a lot.
Okay, see ya.
All right, and thank you everyone for tuning in or watching the following days. This will be posted on YouTube, so I really appreciate it. We're going to have a couple of other lives coming up. I know there's a couple of the drivers that have expressed interest in doing like a co-hosting thing, so this won't be the last live, but I just wanted to do a season preview for all the series in Ontario. I know we didn't get to all of them, but there's too many to go through in just an hour. So thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you all at the racetrack.